One band with just unbound creativity during the late 70s and early 80s was the Stranglers, who put out a staggering 6 albums in the span of 4 years. And from their 1981 album La Folie, the track Tramp. Dave Greenfield has very innovative keyboard sounds, and I always wonder how he's doing this or that. I really, all they say is keyboards, but I just wonder what he does, like what kind of arsenal he has, what keys he's using, what effects he's using, how he's tweaking them. I love that, all that fuzzy sound that he creates, just layers it on. Almost kind of harpsichord-like, but kind of like a mixture of like harpsichord and fuzz tone. I'm trying to put my finger on it.
Takes the time to stay one place. All his clothes on finest lace. Read the lines on a tramp's face.
Jet Black is keeping pretty good time here. His beats are usually more felt than heard, but I had to give him props for that kind of like metronomic quality he's giving this.
Taking his time, just like you, just like me. Wandering soul, fancy free. Searching for love and the call of the wild. Traveling lost like a child.
Very good vocals from Hugh Cornwell, showing his angelic range, those sustained notes. Let's catch up with the lyrics to this one, or maybe it looks like I lost that page here. Let's just all.
Law has missed him every day, doesn't need it anyway. Life is the next meal away. A lost woman long ago, does she miss him, does he know? Does it matter in the snow?
Now, in the past, Burnel had been, his bass work had been really like trebly, really cutting, and here's a bit more understated. But those lines, like those bum 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 bum, like they definitely add nuance to the melodic framework of this track. Let's see. Okay, takes the time to stay one place, though his clothes aren't finest lace. We know that this is about a vagrant. Read the lines on a tramp's face, taking his time, just like you, just like me, wandering so, fancy free, searching for love in the call of the wild, travel and lost like a child. Very, very succinct, yeah, kind of poetic, and sung with quite, like, you know, a gusto. Law has missed him every day. Interesting. So living off the grid, you know, doesn't need it anyway. Life is the next meal away. Very interesting triplet. Very, very slick. Fits well. You know, where 3 lines rhyme in a row. A lost woman long ago. Does she miss him? Does he know? Oh, so this guy was once a member of society. The Tramp was once a member of society, once loved, and maybe almost married. Who knows? Almost did normal things. Probably hasn't loved in a long time. Does it matter in the snow? Yeah. Does it really matter now that you're like that you're just walking around and out in the cold? Taking his time, just like you, just like me, wandering so fancy free. Searching for love in the call of the wild, traveling lost like a child, and then it repeats those lines.
Taking his time, just like you, just like me. Wandering so fancy free.
Now they're going into a different key center for the solo. Notice that both the bass work, J.J. Burnel and David Greenfield are taking kind of the center here. We've got these like fuzzy little sounds from Greenfield's keyboards coming out here. We've got that really nimble bass work coming like from over here.
Taking his time, just like you, just like me.
I gotta say, I wish that solo was longer.
Wandering soul, fancy free. Searching for love in the call of a wild. Traveling lost like a child. Searching for love in the call of a wild. Traveling lost like a child.
Well, that chorus just really explodes, but it's got a lot of nuances there. That melody right before the pre-chorus, that dun na 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 na, yeah, that theme seems to kind of work its way in through several like iterations and chordal key centers and such, and gives the song its unity. Yeah, a band that really knew how to compose tightly crafted songs with intelligent lyrics, well sung, well played. One of those bands, like Yes, like Gentle Giant, the Stranglers were a band where each time you listened to a song, you could follow a different instrument and hear different things each time, because counterpoint was their main thing. Was how they put their songs were rarely ever based on just chordal strum. It was usually just the sum of different notes being played and interlocking. This album was mixed by Tony Visconti, produced by Steve Churchyard and the Stranglers. It's got that really like trebly sound of its time. Not much information given about the different kinds of like model. Well, I'm mostly curious as to like Dave Greenfield's types of synthesizers, but it's all it says is keyboards. Anyway, yeah, one of the first 6 albums the Stranglers could do no wrong. They just had so much creative energy inside of them. And since that song was so short, I'm going to go ahead and play another track on the album. The next one, as a matter of fact, let me introduce you to the family. Now there's some really low-end guttural bass work from J.J. Burnel, the kind that he's just synonymous with. This structure is just almost impenetrable. It's all like in G minor, and it's got that like syncopated disco like sliding hi-hat to it, and the guitar work is not so much chordal, or it's just these shards of it. The guitar almost has the effect of like an electrical energy or something, like on a chart, like. also hear that organ underneath it. This has got some earlier organ, like kind of an early 70s organ sound. You can kind of faintly hear it in the mix.
I love the family longer than longevity. Mother tells me when to be taller than the tallest tree. I love the family. Sister loves me tenderly, sitting on my daddy's knee. And let me introduce you to the family. I love the family. I love the family. I love the family. I love the family.
Okay, I love the family longer than longevity. Mother tells me what to be taller than the tallest tree. I love the family. Sister loves me tenderly, sitting on my daddy's knee. Let me introduce you to the family. Very simple. It's just about, I guess, what makes you who you are, that you're a product of your environment.
Friends will fall for family. Brother, you are dear to me. Watch you grow the family tree. Can't outrun the family. It gets me where I want to be. Through thick and thin, it will help me. And let me introduce you to the family. I love the family. I love the family. I love the family.
I love the echoing vocals, like I love the family, and that guitar work, that like electrograph guitar line, just like rattling like that. Let's see, friends. There were some very there were some lines that were kind of wordy for the cadences and. Friends will fall for the family. Brother, you are dear to me. Watch it grow the family tree. Can't outrun the family. It gets me where I want to be. Through thick and thin, it will help me. Yeah, that one was through thick and thin, it will help me. Misspelled on this site, funny enough. That was kind of hard to fit into the bar. Like I had never noticed how Hugh had done it before. That some trick where you manage to get the syllables in kind of maybe slightly awkwardly. Let me introduce you to the family, and then I love the family. It's just it's the lyrics are pretty simple. I think the intent of the song is maybe kind of a little bit backhanded. It's almost like the English have a phrase for this. It's like a piss take of the greeting card type of middle class suburban family. There may be kind of like in the way that it's being sung, the kind of slightly sort of unimpassioned kind of almost flippancy in a way. In the delivery, you get the feeling like that there's a darker subtext behind this picture perfect family. Like perhaps the narrator went off the rails, so to speak, and just hasn't gone on to walk the straight and narrow as these lyrics would suggest. And the Stranglers certainly didn't walk the straight and narrow. Well, at least. No, I don't think any of them did. Those different notes that they're throwing in over the G minor, duh, duh, yeah, they're throwing in like sevenths, except like in a high octave, and kind of that with that like just really serrated guitar sound, duh, like yeah, duh, no, no, yeah, and throwing in that fifth D, but once again in that really like up there upper fretboard place, like way over the really low, because the chordal, the main chordal structure is being like formed at the low end, primarily like on the bass, and yeah, it just gives it almost like a haunting, like each time Hugh throws in one of those shards, it just it's almost like terror on the brink. And notice how his guitar work is not just like shards of strings being like thrown about. There's like some real notes being thrown in there too, just really fast. It's at times it almost sounds like controlled feedback, manicured feedback. I've always seen Hugh Cornwell's guitar playing from a lot of these albums as like he's like the guitar equivalent of early Brian Eno, in that both were more sound shapers than players in the conventional sense. Like with the Stranglers, everything was so on its head. It's like J.J. Burnel, the bassist, who had classically trained as a guitarist, basically fills the lead role, plays like the chordal, or plays like the he simulates bar chords, and then he takes solos. Like the conventional functions of a guitarist are carried by the bassist, and Dave Greenfield was like the real virtuoso, always playing like solos, like glissandos and arpeggios and all that, and just up and down his keys and like dominating a lot of the solos, and like a Rick Wakeman, like a true, like one of the best in his field, really. And Hugh Cornwell, meanwhile, just kind of laid expressionistic sound over it all. He didn't often play like chords, riffs, or discernible scales so much as he just kind of went around and just really expressionistic. And in some ways, and at times the overall effect, like the sound that he would lay out, the layers, reminded me somewhat of Tony McPhee of the Groundhogs, even if Tony McPhee was a bit more of a virtuoso in the classic sense. And like the Groundhogs, of course, had came from more of a blues rock background, but they very quickly became more of an experimental art rock band. And so there was some parallel. And both bands like to sing about like some of the grimier topics and such. Yeah, that was the Stranglers. Let me introduce you to the family. Very just frantic yet funky track that just won't give up, with a very persistent beat that like hi-hat throughout. From a band that just was boundless in their creative energy between 1977 and 1981, when they released 6 albums, and onward to the mid-80s when they released like the very good Oral Sculpture in 1984. For more Rubies and Sapphires, for all the ones that I just mentioned, see the directory of albums by English S bands for all the albums from the Stranglers from 1977 through 1986, including all the B-sides and such and non-album tracks. Red listed, purple listed, and queue them up, take recommendations, and a few at a time. And in addition to the Stranglers, the directory also has all the other S, S being the most, like, the densest letter in the alphabet for musicians, bands. Soft Cell, Soft Machine, Susie and the Banshees, The Selector, The Specials, Sad Cafe, Sardé, Sad Lovers and Giants, Squeeze, Stackeridge, Spontaneous Combustion, Spandau Ballet. The list goes on and on and on. Sweet, Slade. Yeah, see it and many more. See it in the links below, and like and subscribe and follow me on Twitter and Facebook to know when the next videos are coming out. And until next time, this is Zaragon, the world's most air-traveled trimaximalist, signing off.